Israel says it will allow a basic amount of food aid into Gaza, ending a 10-week blockade that has brought the territory to the brink of famine. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the onset of a starvation crisis would jeopardise its renewed military offensive against Hamas. Well, extensive ground operations have started throughout the south and the north of the territory, where airstrikes have reportedly put all 3 public hospitals out of action. More than 100 Palestinians are reported to have been killed in the past 24 hours. A little earlier, I spoke to our Middle East correspondent, Yolande Nell.
We don't know at the moment when exactly aid will get into Gaza or how, but we had this statement that came through from the Israeli Prime Minister's office saying a decision had been reached in cabinet that a basic quantity of food aid would be allowed into Gaza, that Israel would work to ensure that this aid did not reach Hamas. Of course, that has been the accusation by Israel, as it said it was imposing a blockade on Gaza 11 weeks ago, saying this was to pressure Hamas, accusing it of having stolen supplies, something Hamas denied. And we had the UN and other aid agencies coming out saying they had strong supervision mechanisms. But this all comes against the background of rising international condemnation of Israel's position. We had pressure coming from the US as well. And we had, in the past week or so, increased warnings that famine was looming in the Gaza Strip. So the Israeli Prime Minister's office said that a starvation crisis would jeopardize Israel's new military offensive, which began just a couple of days ago in Gaza. We have only had from the UN a comment that it has been asked to resume its deliveries into Gaza. Of course, we had been told there's something like 116,000 metric tons of food aid standing by at Gaza's crossings if only they would reopen. But for the moment, Israel does also seem to be looking to introducing this very controversial new aid mechanism in the future. So it's making clear that it will only allow the UN to resume its operations as a temporary measure. Of course, the UN and its humanitarian partners have said that the new system that Israel is looking to introduce is both unethical and unworkable.
And Yolande, just briefly, you mentioned there Israel's military offensive. Just talk us through where things stand with that.
Well, one day ago, we had Israel's military announcing these new ground operations. They're concentrated in the north and the south of the Gaza Strip as part of this intense new offensive that it's begun there. We've been hearing this morning about intense bombardment of Khan Yunis. There are videos that show some of these strikes. Places like the Nasser Hospital in the south of the Gaza Strip have been involved. Also, a school that we're told had been housing displaced children as well. Palestinian media reporting that at least 6 people have been killed. In the past day, we heard of more than 100 people being killed, according to hospitals. This across the Gaza Strip, with dozens of children among the dead. We still have negotiating teams for both Israel and Hamas in Qatar for these indirect talks. But at the moment, we're not hearing of any signs of a breakthrough from there in terms of getting to a new ceasefire deal that could see Israel's remaining hostages being freed from Gaza.